Okay, so here we have a word problem to look at. It says Natalie, Chantal, and Samara played together as a forward line on a hockey team. At the end of the season, Chantal had scored 8 more goals than Natalie, while Samara had scored twice as many goals as Natalie. The 3 girls scored a total of 52 goals. How many goals did each girl score? So, we need to solve this problem. We're going to solve this problem by creating an equation, and then we're going to solve that equation as a way to help us figure out this problem. Now, when making the equation here, we need to make a very important decision. We need to decide what is the key piece of information, and by that I mean, if we knew this, we could figure out everything else pretty easily. So the question for here is, which girl is the key girl? Like, which girl, if we knew how many goals this girl scored, that we'd be good with, figuring out the other 2. And when you look at the information, hopefully you decide that Natalie is the key girl. Natalie. And here's why. Here it says that Chantal scored 8 more goals than Natalie, and then Samara scored twice as many goals as Natalie. So if we could figure out Natalie, it'd be very easy to figure out Chantal's goal total as well as Samara's goal total. So for that reason, we're going to let n represent the number of goals scored by Natalie. Makes sense to use n to help us remind us that n represents Natalie and the number of goals that she has scored. So now, it'd be very tempting to say, oh, well then let's let C represent the number of goals scored by Chantal, but that's not going to help us because our equation needs to contain only one variable. So we need to figure out an algebraic expression to represent the number of goals scored by Chantal, but we also know some information about Chantal in that she scored 8 more goals than Natalie. N plus 8 is going to represent the number of goals scored by Chantal, right? It says she scored 8 more goals than Natalie. And then finally, Samara scored twice as many goals. So 2n, number of goals scored by Samara. We can now make our equation. Here goes. The number of goals scored by Natalie plus the number of goals scored by Chantal plus the number of goals scored by Samara equals 52. There's our equation. Now quickly solving it, we end up with 4n plus 8 equals 52. Subtracting 8 from both sides, we end up with 4n plus 8 minus 8 equals 52 minus 8. 4n equals 44. Divide both sides by 4. And we get n equals 11. Now what does n represent again? Because this solution means something. Well, n represents the number of goals scored by Natalie. So we now know that Natalie scored 11 goals. Let me find some room over here. So Natalie, 11 goals. So then how many goals did Chantal score? Well, that's easy to figure out. She scored 8 more goals than Natalie. So that means she scored 19 goals. And finally, Samara scored twice as many goals as Natalie. And so she must have scored 22 goals. What do you notice about 11 plus 19 plus 22? Well, it equals 52, the number of total goals scored by the 3 girls, which totally makes sense. It all fits together. So again, the key thing here when creating equations is deciding on what is the key piece of information. Again, what is this information that if I knew it, I could easily figure out all of the other information. In this case, it was Natalie and the number of goals she scored.
Would the owner